The Origins begins. It was autumn on the island of Sodor, and Toby was taking some stones that would be needed for the new bronze shrine which Ryan and the Scottish twins were working on. He was enjoying this and was having a lovely day. But his travels weren't endless for long. Toby had just seen a tree on the track. He slammed on the brakes just in time, and then it made him cross. Toby was beginning to grow impatient. "That tree," he said. "Not to worry," said his driver. "We'll go and get help." But before they could get help, they heard another engine's whistle. There, puffing around the line, was Skarloey with his faithful coach Wilhelmina. They were off to the station to take on passengers. When Skarloey saw the tree, he stopped. "That tree," he said. "Don't worry," said his driver. "Don't make a fuss. We're getting help right away." And they went to the nearby flat to telephone for help. Soon Toby was beginning to wait impatiently. "That tree," he said, and I better be on my way." "Yeah," said Skarloey. I have some passengers to take," he said, "and I mustn't be late." Then Toby had an idea. Why don't you tell me a story while we're waiting, he asked. "Oh," said Skarloey, about when Hank saved us from scrap," he said. "He was so awesome that we almost got caught in the act, and then we were brought to Sodor and blah blah blah. We came to Sodor and everything we worked on had been a success," interrupted Wilhelmina. "Hey," said Skarloey, "that's not very nice. But you keep telling us the same story all over again," said Wilhelmina. I'm sorry to join in with Wilhelmina," said Toby, "but I agree with her. That story is getting old." "Oh, is it?" said Skarloey. "Then name me one engine who heard my story." "Maybe zero," said Toby with a lie. "And yes, Ryan the Great Northern Railway Engine has heard your story before," he said crossly. "Why don't you tell us a different story?" I know, said Wilhelmina. What about the time when you laid eyes on Melanie?" "Who's Melanie?" asked Toby. But Skarloey was not sure. "I don't know," he said. Then Wilhelmina said, "Skarloey just doesn't want to talk about what happened to Melanie," she said to Toby. "That's true," admitted Skarloey. It had been that way since the day I lost her." It had been a secret that Skarloey had been keeping, but he didn't really want to tell them because it might be uncomfortable. But he could see Toby was waiting for his driving fireman to phone up to clear up the tree so that he can go. Skarloey fought, and then he heard a loud shout. "Just do it!" "All right," said Skarloey, "but are you sure about this?" "You don't have to tell him if you don't want to," said Wilhelmina, "but after you've told him, I'm sure you'll forget about it. You'll get used to it." And Skarloey told Toby the story about how he met his first coach called Melanie. "It started Skarloey, when I was at an engine shop, and in that time I haven't even met Wilhelmina or Melanie," he said, and then he continued. Later that day, I was bought by an owner who who owned one of the narrow gauge engines at the Heritage Railway. He bought me and said I could be really useful. I was happy and I puffed away. By then, Skarloey was indeed happier to be joining the narrow gauge Heritage Railway. His new friends gave him a big welcome and were welcome to be his friends. And by then, Skarloey on his first day was finally doing well. But not for long. He couldn't even shunt trucks properly. And he couldn't pull passengers backwards. And every time one of Skarloey's coaches had come derailed, they would all say what a bad railway it was. And it causes confusion and delay. And every night he'd be at the sheds complaining. "Maybe I am feeling mentally ill," moaned Skarloey. If I had hands, I would grab a gun and then shoot myself," he said. Then he gasped. One of his old shedmates had an idea. "Maybe you should use slip coaches," said one of his shedmates. "If they can keep a good lookout for you at the back, even though it's like having two faces at the back," he said. "But if you go too slow, they'll bump into the back of you. That's what I used to get when I had lucky days like this." Then Skarloey was excited. "I'll get one then. Thank you very much." And he went happily to sleep to see about it. The next morning, Skarloey went to the yards where they sell all kinds of different slip coaches. The yard manager even came to see what Skarloey wanted. He showed Skarloey all sorts of different slip coaches, but Skarloey saw one who stood sad and alone in the same siding. "I'll choose this one," said Skarloey, in the lonely siding. "Oh, very well then," said the yard manager. "I'll take you to her right away." And he climbed on board Skarloey, and Skarloey looked at the coach. "That's the one," he thought. "If I choose you, will you make me become a useful engine?" "I'll do my best," said the coach. "Thank you," said Skarloey. "I'm Skarloey. What's yours?" "I'm Melanie," said the coach. "Very good. Nice to meet you, Melanie," said Skarloey. "I think we're going to have a wonderful time." But on Melanie's first day, she was shy in front of Skarloey, but the two were a very good team. And they were both happy to be working together. And it wasn't too long until the two have developed a very strong relationship. Now, the two newly formed buddies were very happier working on the narrow gauge railway and Heritage Railway, especially Skarloey. But years later, everything changed. Hard times became harder for Skarloey and Melanie, and when they arrived at the station master had bad news. They were being replaced. They couldn't believe what they have just heard, and now they've realised that their line has been dieselised at the time, and the population of steam engines were now overdrawn, which means that now Skarloey and Melanie were going to be sold for scrap. Poor Skarloey stayed in the sheds feeling sad, but his driver and fireman were all trying to cheer him up, and they even told him about the North Western Railway. There was no chance of dieselising the whole place, and they both said, "We should be safe living there." A short while after, Scarlowy went to pick up Melanie, although he was not going to leave her. He told her all about the plan and how to escape to the North Western Railway. They were about to set off when they heard a voice saying, "Excuse me, I'm due to be scrapped too, and I couldn't help but hear your plan. So, can I come too?" "Sure," said Scarlowy. "I don't believe we've met before. Who are you?" "I'm Wilhelmina," said the coach. "And what's yours?" "My name's Scarlowy, and this is my faithful coach, Melanie. We've been working together for many years since I bought her. So, which makes you my secondary coach." "Oh, thank you," said Wilhelmina. "I would love to be your second coach as well as Melanie," she said happily. They quickly coupled Wilhelmina to Melanie, and the three both set off into the night to make their escape to Sodor. Scarlowy stayed there under the tunnel, hearing the approaching diesels, all trying to look for him everywhere. Scarlowy was happy to be safe, and then one of Scarlowy's crew managed to get the signalman to switch the point so that they can escape to the North Western Railway. "We're clear," said Scarlowy to his coaches, and they puffed on. Then there was trouble. The same signalman flagged them down. "An extra freight is coming on," they said, and Scarlowy knew he was too late. He had run out of coal, and he couldn't shove backwards or forwards. And he could hear the approaching diesel with its goods train. Scarlowy couldn't move anymore. The only option left was to stay completely put. Aha! "And then," said Scarlowy, finishing the story, "the diesel that found us took us to the same scrapyard where Hank rescued us. Wilhelmina and I escaped very well, but not Melanie," he said. "Why?" asked Toby. Because since those diesels knew how much I liked her, they took her away. And I know that she's been scrapped, that's all," said Scarlowy. He started to sob, and then he cried. And poor Toby could see Scarlowy was upset. He and Wilhelmina had never seen him upset before, and then Toby decided to pluck up courage. "I feel sorry for your loss," he said. "Yes, I know," said Scarlowy. "I just miss her, because she's just been scrapped, that's all." But then Wilhelmina said, "I feel sorry for your loss, Scarlowy," she said, "but you don't need to go over your fears and never worry about them anymore." "Wilhelmina's right," said Scarlowy. "If I had lost Henrietta, I would tell everyone about it. There's no need to get over your fears like your faithful coach told you. And remember, there's no point in keeping it a secret, whether we tease you or not," he said. "And then you'll feel fine. Yes, said Skarloey. Thank you, Toby. Just tell them I'm sorry I was annoying them. I will, buddy, said Toby, and then he noticed he'd noticed that Butch had just pulled the tree out of their line. Look, said Skarloey, Butch has pulled this tree out of our line that crashed. We can go. Yeah, let's make up for lost time, said Toby, and he trundled away. And Skarloey puffed happily away. After saying thank you to Skarloey about the story, Toby finally made it to the new branch line where the construction pack and the Fat Controller were waiting. Where have you been, Toby? Asked the Fat Controller. Yeah, joined in Kelly and Byron. We were worried about you. Sorry, said Toby. I got held up by a tree that landed on the rails, that's all. It won't happen again. Then the Fat Controller smiled. Not to worry, these things always happen. Thank you for the work you gave to us in this new branch line, he said. You can go back to your sheds and have a rest. Thank you, sir, said Toby. He was uncoupled to his truck and he trundled away. Until later that night, when they came back to the sheds, Toby told the other engines what happened today, and then Skarloey took a deep breath and told the others all about the story he told Toby. The other engines laughed at first and thought how funny the beginning was, but they felt sorry for him when he had finished the story. Skarloey was very brave to build up his confidence and felt like a very, very good storyteller, and like other engines besides from Salty, he became the most popular storytellers on the Sodor Railway.